Here's a true story about a very small village. About 3,000 years ago, a few simple huts stood on a green hill. A muddy river ran below them. Nobody important lived there at all. Yet that little village grew and grew. One day it ruled almost the whole known world. Its name was Rome. This is the true story of how a tiny village became a mighty empire. The story begins with an old legend. Long ago, people said, two baby brothers were left by the river. Their names were Romulus and Remus. They were twins, and they were in great danger. The story says a mother wolf found the babies. She did not hurt them. Instead, she kept them warm and fed them like her own. The twins grew up strong and safe under her care. When they grew up, the brothers wanted to build a new city, but they argued about the best place. In their anger, they fought each other. Romulus killed his brother Remus. Then he built the city alone. Romulus gave the new city his own name. He called it Rome. People believe this happened in the year 753 before Christ. That date became the traditional birthday of Rome. At first, Rome was ruled by kings. There were 7 kings in all. Some were good and some were cruel. They built walls, temples, and the first simple streets of the town. The city sat on 7 low hills. Farmers, shepherds, and traders all lived there. Slowly, the town grew larger. More and more people came to live and work. Rome was no longer just a village, but the last king was proud and harsh. His name was Tarquin. The people came to hate him. In the year 509 before Christ, they rose up together and drove him out of the city. Now the Romans made a solemn promise. Never again would one single man rule them alone. Instead, the people themselves would choose their leaders each year. This new way of ruling was called the Republic. Each year, the Romans chose 2 leaders. They were called consuls. 2 men shared the power so that no one could ever become a king again. A group of wise old men, the Senate, helped and advised them. The Romans loved their city very deeply. They wrote 4 proud letters everywhere, SPQR. The letters meant the Senate and the people of Rome. They stood for pride, duty, and belonging together. But Rome was not always a fair place. Rich families held most of the power. Poorer people had very few rights. For many long years, the 2 groups argued. Slowly, step by step, the poor won more freedom. Rome also built a strong and famous army. Its soldiers were called legionaries. They wore iron armor and carried short swords and long shields. They trained very hard and marched in perfect straight lines. With this strong army, Rome began to grow. It fought its neighbors across Italy. City by city, year by year, it won. Some old enemies even became friends and allies. Rome grew stronger all the time. Soon Rome ruled all of Italy, but across the sea lay a much greater rival. It was a rich and powerful trading city called Carthage. Now 2 great powers faced each other over the water. Rome and Carthage fought 3 long wars. We call them the Punic Wars. On and off, they lasted for more than 100 years. The sea and the land ran red with blood. The greatest enemy of Rome was a Carthaginian general. His name was Hannibal. He was clever, patient, and very brave. He made a bold and famous plan to attack Rome from the north, where nobody expected him. In the year 218 before Christ, Hannibal did something amazing. He led his whole army and even huge war elephants over the high and freezing mountains called the Alps. The march was terrible and hard. Snow and cold killed many men and beasts on the way. But Hannibal reached Italy at last. For years he beat the Roman armies again and again. Rome was truly afraid. Yet Rome did not give up. That refusal to surrender was its great strength. The Romans simply raised new armies, and they found a clever young general of their own. His name was Scipio. Scipio was very smart. He did not chase Hannibal around Italy. Instead, he sailed across the sea to Africa and attacked the city of Carthage itself. Now Hannibal had to hurry home to defend it. The two great generals met at last near Carthage. The battle was called Zama. It happened in the year 202 before Christ. It was huge and bloody. This time, Rome won. Even after this great victory, Rome still feared Carthage. So in the year 146 before Christ, Rome destroyed the city completely. Carthage was burned to the ground. It never rose again. Now Rome ruled the whole sea. It also turned east and conquered Greece and many other lands. Gold, art, and thousands of slaves poured in. Rome became rich beyond its wildest old dreams. The Romans loved Greek ideas. They copied Greek art, gods, and stories, but they added their own great gifts to the world. The Romans were master builders of roads, of bridges, and of strong stone walls. They built wide roads across the whole land. The roads were straight, flat, and very strong. Armies and traders used them for hundreds of miles. People still say today, all roads lead to Rome. But great riches also brought great problems. A few families grew incredibly rich. Many ordinary Romans stayed very poor. Anger grew slowly between them. The happy old republic was quietly becoming sick inside. Two brothers tried hard to help the poor. They wanted to share the land more fairly, but powerful men hated their new ideas. In the end, both brothers were killed. Now violence had entered Roman politics. Now powerful generals began to fight each other for control. Their soldiers followed them, not the Senate. From the outside, Rome still looked rich and strong. But inside, the Republic was slowly breaking apart. Into this troubled time came one of the most famous men in all history. He was a brilliant soldier, a bold leader, and a clever speaker. His name was Julius Caesar. Caesar wanted power and glory more than anything. He led his armies far to the north into Gaul, which is France today. He fought there for many years and won huge new lands for Rome. Caesar became a hero to his soldiers and to the people of Rome. But the Senate grew afraid of him. They ordered him to give up his army and come home alone. Now, Caesar had to choose. A small river marked the northern edge of Italy. It was called the Rubicon. To cross it with his army meant open war. In the year 49 before Christ, Caesar crossed the river anyway. Now civil war came to Rome. Caesar fought his rivals across the whole Roman world, and he won. He returned to Rome as its master. The people made him dictator, a ruler with almost total power. Caesar did many good things for Rome. He helped the poor, and he fixed the calendar that we still partly use today. But many senators hated him deeply. They feared he wanted to become a king. On a spring day in the year 44 before Christ, the senators struck. They surrounded Caesar in a meeting and stabbed him many times. The most powerful man in all of Rome fell dead on the floor. But his death did not save the old republic. Instead, it brought even more war. Caesar had a young adopted son and heir. His name was Octavian. He was quiet and gentle, but very clever. Octavian fought Caesar's enemies, and then he fought his own former friends. The last of these was a famous general named Mark Antony. Antony had joined the beautiful and clever queen of Egypt, Cleopatra. The two sides met in a great sea battle. After a hard fight, Octavian won. Antony and Cleopatra were defeated, and later they both died. Now Octavian ruled the whole Roman world completely alone. Octavian was very wise. He did not call himself a king. He knew that the Romans still hated that word. Instead, he took a brand new title. The Senate named him Augustus, meaning the honored one. In the year 27 before Christ, Augustus became the first emperor of Rome. The old republic was finally over. The great Roman Empire had begun. Now one single man ruled everything from Britain to Egypt. Augustus ruled wisely for many years. He brought peace after all the long wars. People called this long, calm peace the Pax Romana, the Roman peace. Trade, art, and cities grew safely once again. Augustus loved his city with all his heart. He was very proud of his work. He famously said he had found Rome a city of brick and left it a city of marble. Rome shone with new beauty. Under the emperors, the empire grew enormous. Millions of people lived across its many lands. They spoke many different languages, but one language, Latin, joined them together, and Roman law ruled over them all. The city of Rome itself held about 1 million people. It was truly huge for its time. There were busy markets, grand temples, warm baths, and great public squares. No city in the world was greater. The Romans were amazing builders and engineers. They made tall stone bridges to carry water over long distances. These were called aqueducts. Fresh, clean water flowed for miles into the city for everyone to use. They also built a giant arena in the very middle of Rome. We call it the Colosseum today. About 50,000 people could sit inside it. There they watched games, fights, and huge public shows. Inside the arena, fighters called gladiators battled bravely in front of the crowd. The people cheered and shouted for them. The leaders gave the poor free bread and free games to keep them happy and calm. The whole empire was held together by its roads and its army. Brave soldiers guarded the far borders day and night. In faraway lands, from cold Britain to the hot desert, strong Roman forts kept watch. The empire kept growing. It reached its very greatest size under an emperor named Trajan. In the year 117 after Christ, Rome was larger than it had ever been before. Its lands stretched from cold, green Britain in the north to the hot deserts of the Middle East. Around the whole Mediterranean Sea, everything was Roman. Rome was a true giant of the ancient world. Some emperors were wise and good men. One of them was Marcus Aurelius. He was both a strong soldier and a deep thinker. He wrote a famous little book full of calm and wise thoughts about life. But other emperors were cruel or foolish. One of them was Nero. Many old stories say he was violent, selfish, and vain. During his reign, a great fire once burned down much of the city of Rome. For a long time, the empire stayed strong, but it was also very, very large. It was hard for one man to rule such a huge and distant world. Slowly, new and serious troubles began to grow. Far to the north lived many warlike peoples. The Romans called them barbarians. For year after year, these tribes pushed hard against the borders. The empire had to fight harder and harder just to hold them back. The empire had grown too big to guard. Money began to run low. The armies grew weaker. Bad emperors came and went very quickly. Trade slowed right down. The great old giant was growing tired. A new faith also spread quietly across the empire. It was Christianity. At first, Rome fought against it hard, but later an emperor named Constantine accepted it. Slowly, it became the main religion of the empire. Constantine also built a great new capital far to the east. He named it after himself, Constantinople. Now the empire had two great centers instead of one. Slowly, it began to split into two separate halves. There was a Western Empire, ruled from Rome, and an Eastern Empire ruled from Constantinople. The East was rich, safe, and strong, but the West grew weaker and poorer with almost every passing year. In the West, the borders finally broke apart. Whole tribes poured across the rivers into Roman land. Twice, they even attacked and robbed the city of Rome itself. The proud old capital was no longer safe. The Western Empire now had little money and very few strong soldiers left. Its emperors were often weak young boys and puppets. The real power lay in the hands of the barbarian generals in the army. Then at last came the final year. In 476 after Christ, a barbarian leader named Odoacer took control of Italy. He calmly removed the last Western emperor from his throne. That last emperor was only a young boy. His name, strangely, was Romulus, the very same name as the founder of Rome. So the great city ended with exactly the same name it had begun with long before. So in the West, the Roman Empire fell at last. After more than 1,000 years, it was finally over. But this was not truly the end of the story. There was still one more long chapter to come. In the East, the empire lived on. From the city of Constantinople, its emperors ruled for almost another 1,000 years. Today, we call this the Byzantine Empire. It kept the old Roman ways and laws alive. At last, in the year 1453, the walls of Constantinople fell to a powerful new empire. The very last Roman emperor died fighting in the battle. Now, the whole long Roman story was finally over, but Rome never really disappeared. It still lives on all around us today. Its language, Latin, slowly became Italian, Spanish, French, and more. And many, many English words also come from Latin, too. Roman law shaped the laws of many countries. Roman roads and buildings still stand today. Even our calendar and the names of our months come from Rome. The small village on the hills changed the whole world. So think about it for a moment. A few simple huts by a muddy river became the greatest empire of the ancient world. It rose, it ruled, and in the end it fell. But its ideas never truly died. Thank you so much for listening to this story of Rome. If it helped your English, please subscribe here and give this video a like. A brand new story is coming in just a few days. And keep practicing right now while it is fresh. Tap the video on the screen to watch the next story or open the playlist to keep listening. Well done today, my friend, and see you again very soon.